Hey, what's up guys? Evan Aldo here. I am right by Lake Okeechobee in Florida on this beautiful scenic trail. And what I want to talk to you about today is how hard it really is to make a living trading. It's a short answer if you just want to hear it and get out of here. I mean, it's not that hard. It's easier than honors level physics in high school. It's, when I first learned about this, I thought it would be really complicated. When I first heard about it, when I was like, I don't know, maybe 12 years old, the way it was portrayed to me, I thought it would be like, complicated calculus or the most complicated stuff that you needed like some super high IQ level to do. No, it really isn't. I mean, it's the level, it's probably easier, definitely a lot easier than honors physics in high school, easier than the calculus class I took in college, and a lot easier than, if you want to know something that's harder to forecast, actually, try forecasting the weather. That is tough. I took a weather forecasting class in college. That is complicated. That is tough stuff. I worked very hard to get a B- in that. No. Trading is nothing that advanced. I mean, you look at Market Cipher, you look at these other charts. This is nothing you need years of expertise to learn. It takes many people years because of the psychological component, because of all these type of things. But no, the actual concepts, no, if you have, I think you probably the average person could do this. I think with some devotion, some understanding of the psychology behind it, the average person should be able to do this. It's mainly just the rebellious part, not believing it's possible because society tells you it's not possible. The main things of that aspect, that's what's going to hold you back on it. The psychology of it and the fear attributed to it. I mean, think about it this way. The main narrative of society is, I don't know, I mean, I wasn't told this, my upbringing was a little bit different, but the main narrative is go to the best college you can, get that normal, I don't know, doctor, lawyer type job, do that. How hard is it to get into an Ivy League school? I don't know the exact number, but it's gotta be in the single digits. Law school probably even harder, med school even harder, single digits for an Ivy, for the top ones. Med school's really hard. I know people are really struggling to get into med school. Day trading, probably similar success rate. What can you make more money on? What can you do when you want to do it? What can you do where you're your own boss, where you're not some employee who has to show up at a certain time, whose job is to make someone else rich, basically. You're not going to get rich as an employee. You're just going to get the higher ups rich, shareholders or whoever's at the top rich, whoever owns the company. That's how it works. Day trading, similar scenario. However, big difference. Day trading fundamentally a lot easier. Concepts a lot easier to learn than what you need to learn to be a doctor, what you need to be a lawyer, learn to be a lawyer, and so on and so forth. I bet many people into crypto are pretty smart. You're probably pretty smart. Many of you are probably from pretty wealthy families for the most part. There's obviously exceptions to every generalization, but yeah. You probably have what it takes. Like, it's not your IQ level, you're probably smart enough for this. It's probably psychology. It's probably the thing you don't understand is that anything can happen, and you don't really need to know exactly what's going to happen to make money. In fact, you don't need to know what's going to happen to make money. You need a strategy that works over 50% of the time, and you need to avoid betting the farm on just one trade, and that's how you will make money over time, and that's how you will be successful on this. That's the secret, basically, what I just explained to you. It's really not too much more complicated than that. I mean, learning the technical analysis, learning that type of stuff, take a course, I don't know, even you probably get away with it even if you don't take a course, just watch a bunch of YouTube videos. If you take a decent course, that's some nonsense, but something decent and something that's put together well, it's pretty concise and it will help you a good amount. And that's probably the quickest, most efficient way to learn it. Once you have that, once you develop a strategy that works over time, once you know, and this is another important thing, predetermine how much you're going to lose if you get stopped out of that trade. And, the main issue, I'd be curious on what percentage of the 97% of people who lose money are just people who went in all on one trade, no stop loss, and just saw what happened and got their account liquidated. I'd be curious what percentage of people did that and then gave up and then failed. I'd be curious. when you're trading, you're kind of, it's like going against the norm of society. That's why it's so nerve-wracking. It's also, people say it's the hardest easy way to make money. So it's different. It's a different sense of it. And I never knew this when I was young. I never knew. I thought it was just really I thought you just needed to be blessed or have a really, really high IQ. No, you really don't. You just need to be able to believe it's possible. And with a lot of traction and with a lot of these things, you can do that. It's probably weird advice for it, but what's your goal in trading? Make money. The fact that you actually want to make money, and in our society too, like there's a lot of people who don't even want to make money. There's people, someone was telling me, this is a rare case, but someone was telling me that they feel guilty if they invest in Bitcoin, if they feel guilty if they invest in something and it goes up because they didn't really work for it. There's people like that in society. Just the fact that you're watching a video like this, you're ahead of the crowd. Just the fact that you're actually trying to do this, you are ahead of 90% of people already. The fact that you could sit through this for 6 minutes so far, you're ahead of a lot of people. Most people can't even do that. So, don't get arrogant about it. Let's not get too pompous about it. But you're ahead of a lot of other people already. Just having these resources, just actually trying to find out how to do this, and believing it's possible. Because most people don't think it's possible. Once you believe that it's possible to do something, and these things are, it's as hard as going. I'd say it's much easier than going to an Ivy League school, becoming a doctor from an Ivy League school, or even becoming a doctor or a lawyer in general. Like, that's hard. The LSAT was hard when I studied and took that. That was hard, way harder than anything I learned to trade. That is a hard test. Like all those kind of logic games. Oh my God, if you could do that, then you have the knowledge that you need to learn the minimum technical analysis you need to succeed at trading. That was a hard test at LSAT. I didn't get in the 98th percentile or anything, but I'm probably in the 98th percentile of traders. So it's different. People are different to other things. Another thing that really helps you is, what do you want? What do you want to do with the money you make from trading? What kind of car do you want? What kind of house do you want? Visualize that. Pretend you already have it. Act like you already have it. Very important. A lot of our success in life, is determined by our mental state, determined by how positive we are, determined by how we're thinking. It's easier to be a pessimist than to be an optimist. People who are always negative, they're taking the easy path. That's easier to do. It's easy to just wave. You're basically just waving the white flag if you're a pessimist. If you're a negative person, you're just waving the white flag. Come on. It's harder to be optimistic. It's harder to do all these things. Naval Ravikant said that. Very important. So another thing I did is, I have a degree in broadcast journalism, also a degree in political science. I went that route. I went to a good college, not an Ivy League. Almost went into broadcast journalism, kind of lost interest with it towards the end. Realized it was just I was just getting someone else rich being this. I was just kind of a pawn. You kind of just have to say, and act the way they want you to act and be in the system, and you get paid basically nothing. And yeah, one interview I remember, I didn't get this job as a weekend news anchor because they said I was too monotone. All right, well, I think a lot of my viewers like my nonchalant attitude. There's different places for different things. There's so much more opportunity on the internet than broadcasting as a weekend news anchor in the middle of Missouri to some folks that probably know nothing about what's happening in the world. But yeah, it's not anything against Missouri, just a rural area where barely anyone's watching. Not anything against the actual area. So I don't want to confuse anyone there. But yeah, there's so much more opportunity on the internet. How much I've done better with broadcasting, how much more success with this type of stuff on YouTube, with crypto, than what I would have went. Like, I'm glad I didn't go down that path. And I was a paralegal at one point in LA, and I remember, like, what I would do is I would look at all the condos for sale on Zillow whenever I had some free time at work, and I would just see how expensive they were in the area, millions of dollars for like a small 2-bedroom condo. And I was like, the amount of money I would have to make, and the amount of hours I would work as a lawyer, it would never be worth it. The amount of time that would take, and then to retire and all of this stuff, it'd be a nightmare. I'd never be able to get it. It would take so long. But naysayers would say, oh, that's how it is. You gotta work, yeah, that's how it is. You gotta work 99 hours a week. You gotta prove yourself. Because that's what I mean, that's any advice people tell you. Somebody who's able to be successful young is not gonna tell you that, obviously. But somebody who, worked very hard for it and didn't get any success until they were 65, yeah, they'll tell you that. I mean, everyone tells you that go down the path that they took. So obviously the people, I've said this before, take advice from the people that you want to be like, the few people that you want to be like. And people have different time frames. You can do things quickly. I mean, people say 10 years, 40 years. Some people say 40 years. Some people say 10 years. They're telling you how long it took them to do it. You could fundamentally change your life in a few months, basically. I think a year you could really, it would be night and day in a year. A few years, I mean, I really think practically anyone with a good frame of mind and who really works more, not hard, not necessarily hard, but works more and sticks with something, can be a multimillionaire in a few years. I think so. Back to that. I mean, back when I would look at these condos and I would just think, and I would kind of like pretend what it would feel like to have one of these condos or have one of these houses that I wanted. And it would kind of gear me in a direction towards like where to go, where to look at. And I was in a crypto back since 2014, but I never held it long enough to make a significant amount of money until about a year ago. That's when I really got serious with it. And I think what kind of turned me towards it was just the possibility that I could use this or have a skill in this to get very wealthy at a young age and somehow be successful with it and be able to afford the house I wanted, to be able to afford the car I wanted, all of these things. It kind of geared me to that path. Now, how did I find it? Well, it was interesting. I mean, there was a few YouTube videos I watched. I knew what it was. I just didn't know enough about crypto. I still kind of thought it was a scam back then in 2014, 2015. But back 2020, I really saw some people going all in on it. It was intriguing. So the other thing that brought me towards it, and I'm not saying crypto is the best way to get rich, although it is probably one of them. What you're working on is probably one of the most important things, but there's other ways, obviously. Another thing I would do is I would kind of like go to car dealerships sometimes and look at the nice cars that I wanted. I would kind of look at them, maybe occasionally test drive a car that I wanted. Kind of what this did, or drive through really rich neighborhoods. That's what I would do all the time. Look at the really rich houses, walk around there. And what this would do is it would kind of subconsciously, I feel like, give me a path to have that. And the other thing, like pretend you already have what you want. Feel like, what would it feel like to own this house? What would it feel like to own this car, this Porsche that I want, or whatever? It's different for everyone. Everyone has different wants, which is the great thing about life. But how would that feel? And then pretend you kind of already have it. I feel like a lot of people, you're always thinking, our brains are kind of designed to give us the most negative possible outcome. But if you keep thinking, what if the most positive possible outcome? Think about the most positive possible outcome. Some people would say this is delusional. I disagree with them. People have different views, and that's good. They can disagree with me. All right. Most positive outcome, and then that will lead you there. That's where I think will happen. I think most people in business, most people who are pretty successful at a young age will tell you something along the lines of this. That's what I've seen. I mean, that's what I always do. I try to always visualize, the things I want. And a lot of times they come to you, you do get what you want, and it comes to you in a way that you don't expect. A lot of times it really comes to you in a way you don't expect. But it's powerful. It's powerful, just the environment you're in, and seeing all those things, all the things. And everyone can be rich. We live in a time, I feel like people have such a scarcity mindset. They think everything's like limited. It's such a zero-sum game. If I make some money, that means everyone else is going to go down. I'm going to ruin people's life. No, that's not how it works, guys. It's a positive-sum game. Just because you make more money doesn't mean somebody else loses more money. That's not how it works. You can better the world, and you could help others get rich, and you can get rich too. Rich, in wealth, rich in other ways, and mentally, anyway, so that's the main thing in terms of trading. It's not that hard. This isn't a very hard thing to do. I don't think you need a crazy high IQ level. You don't need a degree from Yale. I think this is probably easier than becoming a doctor from anywhere. This is probably easier than becoming a lawyer. This is probably, if you could do probably Algebra 1, high school Algebra 1, you could do this. It's not that complicated. There's no complicated stuff. It's just learning to think in terms of probability. Like I said earlier, anything can happen, and you don't need to know what's going to happen to make money. I think that's all I have to say. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the video, if you like this type of stuff, let me know in the comments below. I want to do more of these types of videos on weekends. I trade a lot less on weekends or holidays, so yeah, sometimes I take a break. Like, subscribe. If you want to help support the channel, check out the links below. It means a lot to me, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye.